we see a person starting to overcome themselves. And after looking at enough brain scans, I saw then that people were able to get beyond themselves to move into that creative state. So
is that where creativity happens, when you separate yourself from yourself?
Well, think about it. Have you ever sat at your computer writing an article or reviewing something or studying, and you look up and it's 2.5 hours later and you have no idea where time went? You lost track of the space you were in and the predictable time of the next moment. And when you lose track of space and time, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and you have no attention in this three-dimensional reality, then all of your attention is in a realm of thought, and we would call that the quantum. So now, you can't enter the quantum field as a somebody. You have to enter as a nobody. So when you begin to get beyond yourself, what is your environment made of? People, objects, things, places, well, your body in space and time. So when you take your attention off all of those elements, you're disinvesting your attention and energy out of this three-dimensional reality, and you're placing your attention and energy in that field of possibilities. Now, what's the relevance of that? Well, think about it. Most people are their bodies trying to heal their bodies. Most people are their personality trying to change some aspect of their personality. They're trying to create some new future event, but they're wrapped up in the routine and program of how they live their life in the same ways.
Sounds ridiculous when you put it that way.
But the truth is that we're all stuck in these programs, and they've lost their free will to a program because they run the same routine every single day. So
without knowing it.
Without knowing it. So then you need a crisis or a disease or a loss or a betrayal or a shock or something that you finally wake up, right? So our community of people, when they understand that they have to get beyond themselves, because when they do, now they're ready to create. They're not thinking about what they look like. They're not thinking about what anybody else thinks about them. They're not thinking about how long it's going to take. They start getting beyond those elements that keep them restrained and attached to their past, present reality. So if you come to an event, the first day is about overcoming yourself. That first day, you start seeing people starting to break through. Once some people start to break through, it becomes very contagious.
Okay, and that's through meditation, physical practices?
We use a lot of meditation. We do 4 types of meditation. We do a seated meditation, and our students can sit for extended periods of time because they forget that they have a body. Okay. And they're good at it. And we do standing and walking meditations. A picture 1,000 people on a beach, a beautiful beach, and everybody is starting off raising their energy and opening their heart. And then they begin to embody who they want to become. They start to walk as that person, they breathe as that person, they start to take it on, and they start embodying that energy. And they start changing the subtle programs of when you're unhappy or when you're beaten down by your environment, you have a certain posture, certain unconscious mannerisms. So we're retraining them so that when they get back into their life, they're going to walk as their future self. They're not going to walk as their old self, they're becoming it. And that becomes the new habit. And then we do a laying down meditation, and that's important because in those laying down meditations, we are after the mystical. So we want to catch them in that realm between half awake and half asleep, where that door, the portal of dreams opens up, where you have a lucid experience. And again, we now have demystified that process, and we can induce that state. So in a week-long event...
What's the 4th?
Oh, the 4th is a lying down meditation. So standing, sitting, walking, and laying down. Okay. And it's pretty fun because you see 1,000 people on the beach or in a park, and you're a person staying at the hotel, or you're just somebody who rides your bike in the park, and all of a sudden you see people just connecting, and everybody stays and watches. It's so beautiful. Sun rises, we start at 6 in the morning, and it's just sentient beings, really connecting. And so people make movies. We do these mind movies, and we teach them how to, instead of watching some ridiculous late-night fright commercial about your immune system getting weaker, or you need a flu shot, or you need to drink a certain beer, drive a certain car, to look a certain way, or to be loved or liked. And that's all programming, where you're relying on something outside of you to bring you some emotion or feeling. That we teach them how to become the stars of their own movies. And we induce a trance with their eyes open, and they understand the science behind trance. And when you're in trance, you're less likely to analyze. And what separates your conscious mind from your subconscious mind is your analytical mind. So as they move into trance, they slow their brain waves down, they stop analyzing, they increase their level of suggestibility. And suggestibility is your ability to accept, believe, and surrender to information without analyzing it. So go back to a late night fright commercial where you're just sitting staring at the TV. It's called programming for a reason. Your brain's in trance, you're in alpha or high level theta. You're not analyzing, you're just sitting there, and all that information is going right into your subconscious, and it's recording it. So then when you start experiencing any of those symptoms, or you start feeling some lack or emptiness, your brain is naturally going to create the picture of what you associate as a reason or a way to get out of that emotion.
Is media one of the most dangerous things we put in our brain?
Oh my God. I mean, if you're watching television, don't watch anything that you don't want to experience, because you're programming yourself for a specific outcome. And it turns out that many of the commercials are actually programming you for the very thing they have the solution for, if you look at it from an objective standpoint. So I thought, why not get a group of people to go into trance and understand the science behind it? And then instead of looking at some frivolous commercial, why not be the star of their own future? And when they play a strong song, like a powerful song that motivates them, and they're watching scenes of them and their future, just like when you were, watching, driving down the car and hearing a song on the radio, and it reminds you of a time in your life, an associative memory, you're associating that song with some memories. From a biological standpoint, remembering your future is actually no different than remembering your past, and you can program your subconscious into that future. And so that helps people then to get clear on the future that they want to embrace, and it puts them in that right energetic or emotional state. So we use a lot of the mind movie technology. We teach them how to specifically create something out of nothing. We teach them how to connect to that unified field and to create from the field instead of from matter. And turns out the brain and the heart gets highly organized when we do this. And we've been doing this new thing in our week-long events, which has been really profound, and we've been teaching coherence healing. And we have witnessed some of the most incredible miracles, Brian, that I thought I would never see in my lifetime. Everything from cancer, tumors disappearing right during the event, people that have hearing difficulties hearing again, people with Parkinson's disease freed, people with crutches walking without crutches, people stepping out of wheelchairs, blind people seeing. I mean, we've seen, and I have to tell you, I was more surprised than anybody in witnessing this. But
what is coherence healing?
So our whole model that we use in our work is about creating brain and heart coherence. When there's a great communication between the brain and the heart, people are more aware, they're more healthy, they're more connected, they're more present, they're more kind, they're more loving, they're more caring. And so we teach people how to create this kind of brain and heart coherence. Well, the coherence healing we couldn't teach at the beginning of the week, because if a person is about ready to heal another person, you can't be thinking about the pain in your back, how long it's going to take, or if you're doing it right. You got to leave that on the beginning of the week. You got to get beyond that early on. So we do the coherence healings at the end of the week, and we call it the cage. So we take a person that has a health condition, they lay down, and we put 8 people around them in a cage, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, at the head and at the feet. And we give them the science of understanding how it all works, because if you look at some of the research out of Yale University in the 40s, some really elegant researchers, they came across the understanding that most people think that it's matter that emits a field. But in actuality, it's the field that creates matter. In other words, they started studying and understanding that certain rodents with certain propensities for certain cancers had a very specific electromagnetic signature in their field. And every